Here today with Andy Anderson with Executive Outdoors here outside of Bowie, and just kind of want to talk to him a little bit about some of the feral hog things you do, and then we'll go in a little more depth also what you do as well. But you know, feral hogs have been such a big problem. Hell, it's just been the last 20 years or so, you know, and I know you kind of got into this program and started working on this several years ago, but I want you to kind of explain a little bit about what y'all do.
So, you know, feral hogs being a problem, they were a problem for me to begin with, and that's how I got into the outfitting business.
Okay.
Was to try and figure out a way to deal with the hogs without costing me money.
Right.
And so, best way to do that is let other people pay to come out and have some fun and take care of the problem for you.
Right.
So that's how it kind of evolved, and as it evolved, it became a much bigger program and a wider base program where now we cover about 1.1 million acres total, farmable acres and ranch land, from Bowie all the way up into Electra and Spanish Fort and all that area up in there.
Okay. So
And,
cover kind of along the Red River, basically.
Yeah. From here, we go down to Jacksboro and it's got some places down there, but we've been all over Texas helping people out when they call, and it's free, and that's the thing. It's free to the landowner. Doesn't cost them one penny.
Right.
And because we've been doing it so long, I think almost 9 years now, we've gotten really good at what we do. We know we've got the right equipment for the right job. You know, it's kind of the same analogy as I'm not going to take a 50 horsepower tractor, hook onto a 14-foot disc and try and go plow with it. It's not going to work.
Right.
So we got big turbine-powered aircraft to handle what we need to do, then do it safely.
Right.
And as a result, we get better. Because of that, we get better results from each hunt.
Okay.
You know, the other part of that is the landowner has to have tools in his toolbox to manage for pest management. And it's no different than spraying for weeds. You can't use one pesticide for another,
right,
and hope that it will accomplish everything. Sometimes you got to mix a bunch of different stuff. Well, it's the same thing with pigs.
Right.
You can do helicopter hunt, you can nighttime thermal hunt, you can trap, you can do all kinds of things, but you have to do a little bit of everything to make it work.
Right.
Helicopter's not going to work on a 600-acre place.
Right.
So you got to use different tools in there. The other thing is landowner cooperation. So even if you have a 600-acre place or a 500-acre or smaller than that, but you get your neighbors to come together, and now you went from 500 to say 1,500 or even 2,000. Well, then that's doable with a helicopter.
Right.
It's the same thing with you know, your coyote predator control.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize that the coyotes have a biggest impact on livestock and your wildlife populations as the pigs do. And so we also manage coyote and coy dog populations on some of these ranches too.
Okay. And I know that's hard for the landowner to understand. What do you mean this is free? That can't be free, kind of a deal. And I know we've talked about this before in the past, but kind of explain how it's free to the landowner.
Yeah, so there's, you know, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services manages helicopter hog hunting, and it's really not hunting, it's a depredation program.
Okay, right.
So, and the way that works is how money changes hands. And there's 3 ways that you can do depredation work from a helicopter. 1, the landowner can hire the helicopter and do it himself. Or 2, the landowner can hire the helicopter and sell the gunner's seat as a way to offset the cost of the helicopter. Or 3, you can have a person like me that's a commercial operator that supplies everything, only I can't pay the landowner a penny. Then it becomes a sport hunt, and sport hunting from a helicopter is illegal.
Okay.
And so a lot of landowners don't want to take on that liability and risk.
Right.
You know, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's a big risk. We have big insurance policies that we pay out huge premiums a month, right? So the offset on the cost is I manage everything as an outfitter, and then I market and I have people that come out and do the hunt. Now we go through a safety program. We teach them how to shoot and how to be safe in the helicopter and stuff like that. And then we also have a clause in our deal that if you shoot a livestock animal, it's 1.5 times market price paid to the landowner.
Right.
So, and I've actually had landowners tell me to go shoot cows if that's the deal. But I mean, that's the thing though, is we do everything in the benefit of the landowner. So everything is set up that way. The other thing is in the helicopter, I mean, we can see mice running through the grass. So if we got a shooter that can't identify the difference between a pig and a cow, we got bigger problems.
Right.
We also make confirmation on those shots too. The other thing is most of the biggest thing I get landowners that want to, concern wise, is, well, are you going to run my cows into the fence? You're going to run my cows?
Right.
Well,
it's something new that they're not used to.
Right. Well, and that is somewhat true when we first start, especially if there's any cattle that's ever been herded with a helicopter.
Right.
Well, we don't put pressure on them. There's nothing worth pushing cows into a fence or stressing them out.
Right.
So we back off, we get away. We give cattle, livestock a wide berth. Sheep,
Right.
We give them a wide berth.
Right.
But eventually, it's like anything else. The animals become used to the helicopter, and we fly places and ranches now where the cows don't even pick their heads up when we fly over.
Right.
They don't move, they don't stress. The calves might kick and run a little bit, and that's it.
Right.
The other concern that I get from a lot of landowners is, well, you're going to run all the deer off the property, or you're going to run all the turkey off,
Yeah,
or
true.
stuff like that. Well, and that pressure comes from the hunting lease guys that don't know anything, and they're telling the landowner, well, he's flying around, he's going to run all our deer off. That is not true. We're not chasing deer.
Right.
Okay, so in 7 years of doing this, we've actually seen deer populations come up. We've seen turkey populations come up. We've actually seen quail starting to come back into some of these areas because we're managing these predators and this invasive species of the pig.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're flying and we see deer, we just keep going. The deer run about 100 yards, they stop, and they turn around like, what was that?
Right.
And then they go back to eating.
Right.
We don't chase the deer around to chase them off or give them any pressure or give them a reason to be scared of it.
Right.
So eventually, as we continue to fly, the deer become
A little more used to, just like cattle, basically.
just like it.
Right.
And eventually, they might run off 50 yards, or we've flown right over deer that just look up, watch us fly by, and then go right back to doing what they're doing.
Right.
So,
And that's with the helicopter. Now, let's say I wanted to call you up, man, and it's summertime, because I know the helicopter is seasonal, so to say, right?
yes.
So you're looking at probably when the leaves are off the tree. So I'm assuming December through March, roughly time frame, April time frame. Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I'm saying, okay, this is the middle of the summer and they're tearing up my coastal patch, what am I going to do then?
So you give me a call. There's a couple options there. We can set up traps depending on the circumstances, or we can start putting pressure on them with thermal and night vision hunt.
Okay.
And the way that works is we have a group of guys that come out, and everybody's outfitted with thermals and night vision, and we hunt the hogs that way. Now, we might kill 50, 60 hogs in a week doing something like that, but we did a test up on the Red River for a farmer, big wheat field, and we started putting pressure on these hogs. And even though we were killing 10 or 15 a night, maybe 20, and I think our best night was 110.
Right. That's
But
a good night.
yeah, but what we saw is the more consistent pressure we were putting on them, the less hogs we were seeing, and eventually they quit even coming. It's like they knew where that property line was, they knew what our limitations were, and they wouldn't try. The hogs are very smart.
Right.
They figure that stuff out.
Right.
And we were changing up our hours, we were changing up everything, and eventually the hogs now we get one or two that filtered in, or maybe 10 or 15, but it wasn't the huge numbers that we were seeing when we first got up there. There was a time we went up there and did a survey, and there were more pigs in there than cattle, and I'm saying probably 400 hogs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
Right.
there was a lot of hogs in this place at nighttime. It was right on the Red River. They were coming off that river, coming up, eating his wheat, and we started putting pressure on them and shooting them. Gone.
Okay, that's good. That's always a good sign when you can kind of take that pressure off those landowners and put them, you hate to say put them somewhere else, because I've always kind of contributed to the fire ant problem. If you can control your yard, you're doing good, but that doesn't mean that there's not your neighbor doesn't have the same problem. But you know, you mentioned it earlier. If you can get all your neighbors kind of grouped together in something like that, you can kind of create a safer space or an area that's a little less pressure as far as that goes. It doesn't mean that they won't come back eventually. It just means that we can kind of help kind of depredate them off, maybe even scare them off for a little bit, you know, for, you know, 6 months a year, whatever it may be, you know, on something like that. And I noticed we have a trap here behind us, so I guess that's another option too as well.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you've used all kinds of traps and what the best scenarios for those are, and along with the hunting deal. But kind of tell us about the trapping area of it.
Well, the trapping is so. The other thing I've learned is not one trap fits all.
Right.
And you know, you got the boar busters, you got, you know, guillotine traps, you got all different kinds of traps out there, and you have to trap based on the area and what's going on as far as what the hogs are being attracted to.
Right.
The thing I don't really like about trapping is you got to bait the trap to trap them.
Right.
So you got to put an attractant in to get the hogs to come in. Well, we're trying to get rid of the hogs.
Right. Right.
And so it depends on the circumstances where I would rather trap than shoot.
Okay.
The other problem is you still got to do something with the hogs.
Right.
The market's not there anymore for the trapping. There's
Sure.
people that like to trap it and sell hogs to game ranches and things like that. But the trap is a good tool to use.
Just another tool in your toolbox.
It's just another
basically.
tool to use, but it also costs money.
Right. Right.
And if you factor in what the trap costs, what it costs in labor to check it every day, or to manage that trap. I mean, even the cellular operated trap, somebody's got to have the device in their hands when they get the alert to set the trap, and then you got to drive out there and go get the pigs.
Right.
It's all labor intensive.
Right.
And oftentimes trapping costs more than even the helicopter if you factor in everything.
Right.
With the results that you get from the two.
Right.
You know, and so where the helicopter comes in great is I can spend 4 hours and kill, you know, depending on the density of the pigs, I can kill almost 90% more than what a trapping effort would.
Right. Right.
At half the cost.
Right.
And so, and then in the nighttime thermal hunting, the cost goes down because people are paying to come and do that. So you have no cost as a landowner
Right.
with the thermal
Right.
night vision hunting.
Right.
The trapping, it doesn't matter if the landowner calls somebody to come trap or they got to buy a trap and maintain it themselves. The trapping costs money.
Bet.
Costs
You
a
bet.
lot of money.
You bet.
And then hogs get trap smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times that I've had cellular cameras set up with a boar buster or any other kind of trap I've had. The young shoats and stuff will go in there, but the big pigs stay on the outside.
They've seen it, they've been there, done
They
it.
just, for some reason, they're like, no, I've been here, seen that before.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to get those big pigs.
Right. Right.
So you got to constantly be, and that's why you see the evolution in the trap.
Right.
We started out with a simple trap. Now we got traps that hang from trees and nets, and I mean we're doing all these different things. You got to keep changing it up. They get smart too.
Oh yeah. Right.
And so trapping can be difficult, but it is a good tool to have depending on your situation and circumstances for your property.
What about, and I know a few years back, you know, they came out with a poison for the pigs, and it only, you know, it barely got released and it got shut down pretty quick. I mean, is there an opportunity at some point in time? Is that going to be an opportunity, or is it still talked about, or is that something, you know, that everybody's still worried about? I mean, and I know you've kind of had your druthers one way or the other, and I get that, but kind of talk a little bit about, you know, legally we still can't poison pigs,
Right.
but, you know, is there some future ahead or anything that you've heard about since you're in this business?
Well, what I see coming on the horizon is sodium nitrate. And
Okay.
so I see that developing, and that's a pretty good toxicant as far as its effectiveness. But the warfarin that was coming out, I mean, that was a broad-based, and you had non-target species that were going to be affected by it. I mean, there was just a lot of issues with that
Right.
that I don't think was taken into full consideration. I think toxicants will have their place, again, maybe for a small property owner. But the liabilities that are part of that. Every landowner needs to take a look at that. When you're putting poison out on the ground and something eats it that's not supposed to eat it, you're liable for that. And so, and that includes game species and non-game species. If you're killing a bunch of raccoons or you're killing a bunch of, different animals on target that's not supposed. So the delivery method has got to be refined so we can ensure that we're not harming what we're not supposed to be. And pigs are the only thing getting that. And that's going to take some time to develop. Toxicants have their place. We've proven that over in history that on different other species and things, the mice and the rats, and toxicants have their place. The delivery method is what we need to figure out. And then again, you got to look at what the cost is. How much of that toxicant is it going to take to have an effect, be effective on one animal? And then that was the other thing that with the warfarin thing that was coming out was the cost involved to kill one animal. You could have flown a helicopter every day for 6 months at what it would cost to kill 30 pigs. It was astronomical. It always comes down to dollars and cents. And as a farmer and a rancher, you really got to look at that bottom line and see, for what am I getting for $1 of investment? And you got to look at that return. And again, there's tools, there's resources there that are free to landowners, and I'm not the only one that's out there doing that. There's other outfitters that provide the same service that I do all across the state of Texas and Oklahoma. The biggest thing that I see with pigs when it comes to managing pigs, we could kill every pig in the state of Texas tomorrow if we wanted to. The problem is that the hogs have become an industry that not everybody wants them gone. And so landowners have leased their land to hunters. Hunters want to hunt pigs.
So it's a source of income for them.
It's a source of income. And so this is going to be an ongoing battle for a very, very long time. The ones that want them gone are the ones making a living off the land.
They want to take care of the resource that they have, basically. And that wild hog is coming in and taking their resources, whether it be a wheat pasture, Bermuda pasture, anything else, and I guess some instances maybe they're even injuring baby calves or baby lambs or whatever, or even injuring maybe some of your wildlife populations as well. And so you have to really kind of look at your scenarios, what you're wanting to accomplish, what you're wanting to do. Kind of switching gears, I know you do the wild hog deal, but what else do you do with Executive Outdoors?
Well, we also manage, so under Executive Outdoors, we have another business called Trinity Land Management, and we take care of properties for absentee owners. We do just about everything from building fence and buildings and roads, and help you with your farming, with your your pesticide management. Anything and everything that has to do with the outdoors. If you want to develop your property for hunting, we come in and help you create that habitat, set up your deer stands, your feeders, your whatever the situation is. We create a study on that and then put a management plan together, and we execute it and help you execute it. We also help you with the dollars and cents of it. Does it make sense to do this, or should you do this? Some people want to mix agricultural and wildlife together. Sometimes the agricultural takes precedence over the wildlife. But then there's some circumstances where your land may not support the agricultural side, where it does support the wildlife. And you gotta find that balance. And sometimes in business, what I found is I may have an idea and a desire to want to do a certain thing, but I may have to switch gears because it doesn't fit the resources that I have in front of me. And so sometimes the wildlife industry is there. I think the last number is a $5.2 billion a year industry in Texas. So there's plenty of money there for everybody that wants to get into it and lease their land or whatever for hunting. It's there. Just you got to set it up right. That's kind of what we help do.
And then you've also got a lodge over in the Sunset area, I guess, for folks that want to come in and stay with you. Whether they're from Pennsylvania or California or wherever, even from DFW Metroplex, if they want to come out and stay with you a night or two, then they can do that as
Absolutely,
well, right?
absolutely.
And so, and you can take them on that adventure, so to say, and something gives them the opportunity to get out here and see what's going on in the real world too. And I noticed we have some different things around here. You know, you got your jet fuel deal in here. So, I mean, when you're flying this helicopter, how many people are you putting in this deal?
So the helicopter, we fly with a safety officer, a flight tactical officer that handles navigation safety and make sure the pilot's staying on land.
Okay.
And then the pilot can focus on flying.
Right.
And then you got 2 shooters in the back, 1 on each side.
Okay.
We carry 1,000 rounds of ammo, and we shoot AR-15s.
Okay.
And a lot of people ask me, why ain't you using shotguns? Well, shotguns work good in open area where we can get down low and they become effective. But most of this region around here, we got trees to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
We got pecan trees and everything else that keeps us, and we got to stay, above them in case we need to move or do something. So shotguns aren't usually effective at the altitude that we're having to fly from.
Right.
The shotguns have their place, but we wanted the best tool for the job.
Right.
So it's actually not as hard as what you might think to shoot a pig from a helicopter. It is a lot of fun, but you'll the first time you do it, you'll shoot a little bit and you'll miss. But I always say use Kentucky Windage. Shoot both eyes open, and when you shoot the first time, just correct and shoot again, and within 3 or 4 shots you'll get it. And after that, you figure it out, because we're matching the speed, so it's not like you got to lead or lag or be some military sniper.
Right.
It's just, shoot it. And the ammo's included, so make it rain,
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, to me, it's kind of a win-win situation, because you have some of those folks that have that extra income that want to come out and fly and do that and shoot some hogs, and then it benefits the landowner just as much, because then you're eradicating, or at least trying to run those hogs off. I don't know that we'll fully ever eradicate the wild hog, but at least try to get them off your property, And I understand, you're going to have big chunks of acreage out there. You're going to have to say, as you mentioned a while ago, 500-600 acres is not probably going to be enough, but if you can get 2 or 3 neighbors get in and get, 1,500, 2,000 acres, then you can kind of make some flybys and kind of run them off. And basically, I guess, establish a border or a perimeter for those guys to kind of stay back out of your way, as far as that goes. So to me, it's just an excellent opportunity on both ends. And I know every year we mention it to the landowner, well, it's free. Well, they don't understand that, and I get that, And of course, then we'll have some that say it can't be free. It's got to cost somewhere. Yeah, it costs. It costs those guys coming out of the Metroplex to shoot,
Right.
And somebody's got to pay for the fuel and the ammunition and the pilot and the safety officer there. And that's good to know that you have all that available for them as well. And so, and I assume you have a web page or a Facebook post or something.
Yeah, we're
like
on
that.
Facebook and Instagram both. We also have a website, executiveoutdooradventures.com.
Okay.
You can find us Executive Outdoor Adventures on Facebook. And I'm free to consult anytime. I mean, I got lots of landowners that call me, and I'll visit with them and sit down and we'll figure out which is the best. I'll tell you, I love the helicopter. It gets the best results.
Right.
But sometimes that doesn't work.
Right.
Sometimes we need to figure out something different. I consulted with a landowner not too long ago, and the best option for him was fencing.
There you go.
And so there's different types of fencing to put in based on budgets and things of that nature, and we can create those barriers and put up fences to keep hogs out of certain areas.
Okay.
Sometimes that's the best option.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the circumstances, and you got to evaluate the entire environment before you start to implement the program.
Right. Good. All right. Anything else we missed or you want to include that, it doesn't necessarily have to be about wild hogs. I noticed that you even have a place to go bow fishing on a boat kind of deal.
Oh,
so
man,
I don't know if that's an opportunity or not. But
it is. It's one of those things where, the outdoors is, everybody has a desire to get out and try something or do something
Right.
outdoors.
Right.
And it's not just limited to hunting and fishing. it's just enjoying it.
Right.
And there's a lot of recreation involved in just getting out and taking a walk, or even wildlife photography and things of that nature. And we just supply the opportunity. It's really up to the individual what they want to do and what their interest is that we help provide for them. Even on the corporate side of things, sometimes, you know, the golf course is getting wore out.
Right.
There's not a lot of business getting done on golf courses anymore.
Right.
Where we see a lot of corporate and businesses coming out and do their business meeting, have a lunch, and might shoot skeet or go fishing for a little bit, or, you know, even go take rides in the helicopter. Sometimes we just give rides in the helicopter.
Right.
You know, it's just breaking out of that box and getting something different to attract new business and or introduce your kids
To the outdoors.
to something that they haven't been exposed to. So, you know, to go bow fishing is relatively inexpensive, but if you wanted to get into it and do it for yourself, it's pretty expensive. So why don't you come try it out, see if it's something that you're interested
Right.
in
Right.
before you go invest all the money, you know. Or not everybody has a buddy that's got land to go hunt. Not everybody has a buddy that's got a boat to go fishing. And so these outfitting groups all over the state of Texas can provide that opportunity for an introduction into something.
Right.
If your schedule doesn't allow but you love to go hunting, so you book a trip where your chances of success are going to be much better than if you lease land, you go out once or twice a year to manage it, set it up, and then you go out and expect to shoot a big buck or harvest some animal. We haven't put the time in to invest it because the demands of your job at home.
Right.
And those are things you got to balance and look at, and that's what the outfitter does. And what I found was when I started just doing helicopter hog hunts, I was doing them out of my pickup, and I had a fuel trailer.
Right.
Well, as people started coming, like, hey, can you get us a place to stay? Hey, can you take us whitetail hunting? Can you take us turkey hunting? Can you take me fishing? Can you do this? Can you do this?
Just kind of ballooned on you.
I just never said no. I just
Right.
kept doing it, you know. And so I kept adding these things to it. Well, it went from a helicopter hog hunting outfit to a full-blown outfitter. Now, I mean, we hunt all species that you can think of. We got a game ranch that has loaded with exotics. Great deer management program. We partnered with Sullivan Whitetail Ranch and did a lot of stuff with them, and we're growing that. We're expanding that lodge, and I mean, we're really growing on. We just took another property in Jacksboro,
Okay.
and so I mean, we're just growing like crazy. The outdoor and the bow fishing part of it.
Right.
If you want to come out and go for 4 hours, it's like helicopter hog hunting, but from a boat.
Right.
It is just nonstop action. It's so much fun, and any age can come and do it as long as they can pull a bow back.
Right. Right.
Even the youngsters that can't shoot, they enjoy just being on the boat watching everything, because I'm telling you, and I went and did it the first time. It is amazing what you will see at night on the lake.
Right.
It is amazing what you will see at night on the lake in the water. Turtles laying on the floor of the lake sleeping.
Right.
Fish sleeping.
Right.
Fish sleep.
Yeah.
They know they sleep.
Yeah. That's
But
right.
they do. They just sit still, and you're like, there's a fish. And,
That's right.
I mean, it is amazing what you will see, and it is a greatly unique experience.
So, and let me ask you too. I assume you work well with and alongside of some of the Texas Parks and Wildlife folks, whether that be a game wardens or biologists or whatever. I mean,
Yes.
so that's very important too, as well.
Yes. Yeah, we work hand in hand with Parks and Wildlife, USDA, because USDA has programs where they come out and will do their helicopter operations for you too. We work with Noble Foundation. I mean, everybody. If I can't provide the resource, I know where to go to get the resource.
Right.
And then I don't know everything, so sometimes I got to talk to that biologist, or a lot of it. Sometimes people call me and are like, "Well, I got this guy that keeps trespassing." We'll call the game warden. You know, I got a law enforcement background as well, so I help coordinate or maybe find a solution to some problems that are going on through the law enforcement aspect of it.
Right. Right.
The other thing is, a lot of people don't give credit to the game wardens, is they have additional resources that they can get you in contact with. Yeah, their primary goal is the enforcement
Right.
and protection of our resources, which is great.
Yes, sir.
But if you have a problem and you don't know who to call them, and it's a good place to start, because they can help lead you in that right direction.
You bet.
And Of course, I do deal with the game warden quite a bit because flying a helicopter, not everybody wants a helicopter fly over land. So I get called on sometimes.
Yeah, you bet.
And we have to deal with them, but we maintain a really good relationship. We have an open book, whatever they want. The other thing, we keep a GPS tracker in our helicopter. So the game warden says, hey, you flew over on this guy's place. Well, no, we didn't.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But that's just part of the relationship of having that. And they are a resource, unless you're a bad guy.
Yeah, that's right. That's great. That's right.
So,
That's right.
you know.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate Andy being here with us with
Absolutely.
Executive Outdoor Adventures. And again, go in there and look on the Facebook. You said Instagram as well. Have a web page as well. Of course, if you need to holler at me, you know, there at the county extension office, that's fine too. We can help you get a hold of them. I've worked with Andy off and on through the years, and amazed about some of the things you have. And every time I visit with you, I go, I didn't know that, and that's good. You know, 'cause every time you learn something, then maybe we'll get it off and going off the ground a little bit more. But yeah, holler at Andy. You know, and I know with this COVID-19 going on, everything's kind of slowed down a little bit.
It has.
But you know, I guess it really interfered with some of your hog hunting, especially in March, April time frame, and it's understandable. But you know, it'll pick back up again.
Sure.
And we'll get going again. So.
Pigs ain't going nowhere. They're
Yeah,
always here.
no, they'll come back too for you. So yeah, they'll keep proliferating very well for you. So,
Right.
all right, well, Andy, I appreciate you, sir,
Thank
and
you.
hope you have a good day.
Thanks for coming out.
All right.